Henry Bottom's farm is considered to be one of the most important fronts of the battle for Perryville. After the battle, we will take a look at Henry Bottom and how the battle forever changed his life. All aboard the Kentucky Tennessee Living Time Machine. Please fasten your seatbelts and keep your arms and legs inside of the vehicle at all times. But to get going, we need your help. We still need to fire up that time machine to transport us. Please help us by clicking on the like, subscribe, and bell notification buttons down below. Not only does this fire up the time machine for our flight back in time, but it convinces the YouTube algorithm that we need a bigger vehicle to reach more people who love history as much as you do. Now, back to our story. Where the combatants were positioned, the majority of the Union troops from McCook's 1st Corps units were positioned on the land owned by Squire Henry B. Bottom. Colonel William Haynes Little's 7th Brigade comprised the McCook's right flank. They were posted at Bottom's house and barn, which was located on a ridge. This position overlooked a bend in the Chaplin River, and on the other side of the river, a farm owned by R.F. Chatham. Confederate Brigadier General Bushrod R. Johnson's brigade was positioned at Chatham's farm. Major John E. Austin's 14th Battalion of Louisiana Sharpshooters was guarding Brigadier General Daniel W. Adams's Confederate brigade. Together, they attacked the 42nd Indiana at Doctors Creek as they were gathering water around 2:30 p.m. Johnson's failed attack. Major General Simon B. Buckner did last-minute changes to the Johnson attack. Not all of the orders and changes that he had made it to the field commanders of the participating units. This caused huge mistakes and disorganization. While the Confederate men were still on Chatham Hill, the Confederate artillery units opened fire and lobbed shells upon their own men. The friendly fire broke Confederate lines. Despite the artillery shells raining down upon them, Brigadier General Bushrod R. Johnson's brigade ran down Chatham's House Hill, crossed the riverbed, and attacked Colonel John Beatty and the 3rd Ohio Infantry. The fighting went from Stonewall to Stonewall. The Confederate artillery then bombarded the 3rd Ohio Infantry. By doing this, they set fire to the Bottom's farm barn. There were wounded Union soldiers that were in the barn that had sought refuge from the fighting. When the barn caught fire, they burned to death. The 3rd Ohio withdrew their positions on the field and were replaced with the 15th Kentucky. Cleburne and Adams' brigade joins the fight. The Confederate side ran low on ammunition. Around 3:40 p.m., Brigadier General Patrick R. Cleburne's brigade entered the battle. Cleburne was wounded in the ankle, and his horse Dixie was killed when an artillery shell landed near them. Cleburne continued to press his troops forward despite this event. As the Confederate troops advanced up the slope of Bottom's farm, the Confederate artillery once again rained shells down upon them. According to the written thoughts of Cleburne, this was because the men were wearing Union blue troops' trousers that were captured in the Battle of Richmond, Kentucky. At this point in the fight, 3 companies of the 3rd Ohio once again rejoined and reinforced the 15th Kentucky on the Union side. Confederate Brigadier General Daniel W. Adams' brigade joined in the fight on Cleburne's left flank. This proved to be too much for the Union troops, and they retreated west to McCook's headquarters at Russell House. Colonel William Haynes Little was wounded in the head during the battle while he was trying to rally the men. He was left for dead on the field and was captured because of it. Little would recover from his injuries and would be traded in a prisoner exchange and rejoin the Union afterward. Powell attacked Sheridan. Brigadier General Philip H. Sheridan commanded the 11th Division of McCook's 3rd Corps. While Little's brigade was being attacked, the left flank of the Sheridan's men were only a few hundred yards away, positioned on Peters Hill. One of the most hotly debated issues of the Battle of Perryville was that the troops were so close to the battle but did not engage. One of the contributing factors could have been that Major General Charles Champion Gilbert had given orders earlier that day for Sheridan not to bring on a general engagement. This is how it may have happened. Around 2 p.m., Gilbert and Major General Don Carlos Powel were having dinner. The two generals heard the sound of artillery fire, but assumed it was part of the Union practicing. Gilbert sent word to Sheridan not to waste gunpowder. Sheridan did fire some artillery shells at the Confederates, but not a lot. Gilbert finally arrived from the rear of Sheridan's troops and was afraid that the position would be compromised, so he had Sheridan's artillery and troops move back to his entrenchments. In conjunction with Adams' brigade, the brigade of Colonel Samuel Powell, Anderson's division, was ordered to advance on the Union Army on the left of Cleburne. Powell was positioned on Edward House Hill. At 4 p.m., General Bragg ordered Powell's men to advance west on the Springfield Pike to silence Captain Henry Hescott's artillery battery. Bragg thought that Hescott's batteries was acting alone, not realizing that the entire Third Corps was involved in the fighting. Powell ordered 3 regiments of his brigade to attack Sheridan's artillery. Sheridan initially sent for reinforcements. However, his men were able to repulse the attacking Confederates. Sheridan hesitated in the battle to pursue the smaller force attacking him, and he also refused the request by Daniel McCook to move north to help the fight. Sheridan's men were reinforced by the 31st Brigade of Colonel William P. Carlin's Mitchell's division. Carlin's men chased the fleeing Confederates towards Perryville. In a cemetery on the western outskirts of town, the two sides had an artillery duel. After pressing forward, Carlin's men were joined by the 21st Brigade of Colonel George D. Wagner, Wood's Division, 2nd Corps. Just before they were able to capture the city of Perryville and cut off the escape routes of Bragg, Gilbert ordered Mitchell to curtail the advance. This was over the strong objections of Mitchell. The tragic life of Henry Pierce Squire Bottom. Henry Pierce Squire Bottom was born on January 9, 1809, and died September 29, 1901. Henry was known by Squire because he was of the Baptist faith and his grandfather was a preacher. He worked as a farmer, cabinet maker, and justice of the peace. His farm in 1850 included 760 acres. 450 acres were improved land, and the rest was unimproved land. After the battles were finished, the farmhouse became a field hospital. The soldiers looted the farm, taking with them 9 cows, 30 sheep, thousands of pounds of pork and bacon, 30,000 bushels of corn, 50 bushels of oats, 2 horses, and 22 tons of hay. This left the Bottom family having to buy food for the very first time. A claim of $1,282 for commissionary items such as pork, beef, bacon, cattle, and sheep, and $3,580 for quartermaster goods, including wood, corn, hay, and oats, was filed by Bottom to the U.S. government for damages. Bottom was falsely accused of being a Confederate sympathizer because of his ownership of slaves, and he was denied his claim. In fact, he was a Unionist, and all of his family members who fought in the war fought for the Union. There were so many dead Confederate soldiers littering the farm that Bottom's neighbors and slaves had to form a makeshift cemetery at the northern end of the farm. This later became Perryville Battlefield State Historical Site. Henry Bottom himself never recovered psychologically or economically. It is said that until the day he died, he was a broken man in spirit. After his death, Bottom's son Rowan refiled the claim with the United States government and brought witnesses that discounted the false testimony given by Henry's neighbors. Rowan was awarded $1,715 by an act of Congress in 1914. In next week's video, we will begin the fight at Dixville Crossroads and take a look at the aftermath for the entire Battle of Perryville, Kentucky. And we will try to discover why Bragg made the decision to leave Perryville and return to Tennessee. Thank you. Kentucky Tennessee Living would like to thank you for watching our video series on the Appalachian Civil War battles. Don't forget to hit that like button, as the more likes we receive, the more likely YouTube is to suggest our videos to other viewers. Also, to receive notice when we upload a new video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell notification button. Please be sure to double check that you are subscribed, as some of our viewers are finding that they are no longer subscribed to our channel. We thank you for continuing to support Kentucky Tennessee Living as we are discovering the mysteries in Appalachian history.